Harry St John Philby lectured to the Royal Geographical Society in London, 3rd of May 1920, across Arabia from the Persian Gulf to the Red Sea. And that is the journey that we're following out here. It's the second day of our trip, really the first full day of walking in the footsteps of St John Philby. And interesting reading the notes that he typed out before he lectured to the Royal Geographical Society. He was absolutely thorough on all of his lecture preparations. The notes I have sitting on my knee now as I watch the sun go down amongst the middle of some beautiful rolling white dunes here just inland from the east coast of Saudi Arabia are meticulously typed, and by the side of all of the written notes is a number to show the slide that he wishes to display, which I presume was an old lantern slide. And he wrote at length on November the 18th, all was ready, and with a caravan of 30 camels and 15 white asses of a large boned breed for which the region is famous, to say nothing of a motley human accompaniment of 17 persons, we set our backs to the sea and launched into the desert. For the rest of that day and the whole of the next we ploughed laboriously through a rolling sea of loose sand some 50 miles broad. And it's in the middle of those sands that we find ourselves tonight. I've been walking with Reem Philby, granddaughter of the great explorer himself, and we've covered quite a lot of ground, about 16 kilometres on our first day. We didn't want to go too far. We weren't sure how soft the sand was. It was soft in patches, but the going underfoot wasn't too bad, and thankfully we were able to get going really quickly. We got our camp set up pretty quickly last night. We were camping on the side of a beautiful lagoon, a place called Alaguer, where Philby came ashore in November 1917 to start his journey. And the wind dropped in the night. We were entertained by the whistles of the birds at the water's edge and some lovely meteor showers, but really I think we all slept pretty heavily last night, and we'll do so even more so tonight. The temperature dropped to 16.9 degrees, which was nice and pleasant. A little bit of humidity and dampness on the sleeping bags this morning, but nothing too bad. And the alarm went off at 0500, which meant that the way that we'd organised the camp the night before meant that we could move pretty quickly. Porridge was on, coffee was on, and Reem and I were walking at 05:55, 3 or 4 minutes before the sun rose over the sea to the east of Arabia. And with the sun on our backs, we ascended the line of dunes, walking away from the sea like Philby did in 1917. And here we are. We're in reasonable fettle. Today was really just a testing day, trekking poles. Are we carrying too much? Are we carrying enough water? Too much water? But today's gone pretty well, really. Reem and I walk at pretty much the same pace, and we're able to walk and talk, which is really important because Reem's a fascinating girl with a fascinating story to tell. And we met up with the support team after about 15-16 kilometres. Took a short break in the shade of the vehicle, and now we just found a beautiful campsite. The sky is rosy pink. It's a beautiful colour. The sun has just dropped now behind the dunes. Some high cirrus clouds in the distance, an indication perhaps of the weather changing. The forecast is for temperatures to drop quite significantly. We are away from the sea tonight, so we do expect temperatures to drop. Certainly that was very noticeable when we stepped off the mud onto the sand. Sand heats up very quickly but cools down very quickly, so the air temperature above the sand is always much cooler than it is on other surfaces, and that was very noticeable. So for the first couple of hours this morning, the walking was in beautiful temperatures, starting to get a little bit hot as we got to midday, but certainly nothing unbearable. A nice breeze cooled us as we made our progress. So all well. On day one, we're about 16 kilometres inland from the east coast and on the trail of this remarkable man called Harry St John Philby.